And Micah, tonight was a special board meeting because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings. So that's some progress there. But this meeting was not without its fair share of tension.
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged.
In the small town of Dolton, Illinois, drama seems to follow Mayor Tiffany Henyard wherever she goes. She's become a lightning rod for controversy, from her extravagant spending habits to her fiery clashes with local trustees. But despite all the scandals, Henyard is determined to hold onto her power, and she's not backing down without a fight. Today, we're diving into the wild world of Dolton politics, where Tiffany Henyard has become both a hero to some and a villain to many.
For months, there is a new legal battle brewing in Dolton between the mayor and some village trustees.
As Regina Waldrop explains, it has a lot to do with 2 meetings held earlier this week.
Let's rewind to the recall. Tiffany was almost ousted from office, actually. If you look at the votes, she was ousted. But in a twist that could easily be the plot of a soap opera, a judge dismissed the recall on a technicality, allowing her to stay in power. And of course, Tiffany wasted no time rubbing it in her critics' faces. After all, this is the super mayor who believes she's destined to lead Dolton to greatness, no matter what anyone says. In a victory that she's been flaunting ever since, Tiffany is now more confident than ever. At a recent board meeting, she even did a little victory dance to celebrate her staying power. Can't you just picture it? Her strutting around like she's won some grand prize while her critics sit there fuming. One fan commented online, "My conclusion, Tiffany is a compulsive liar, and it's easy to see why people feel that way." For Tiffany, every defeat is just another opportunity to claim victory, and she's got the dance moves to prove it.
I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
But the recall wasn't just about Tiffany's ego, it was about her leadership, or lack thereof, depending on who you ask. She's been accused of spending Dolton's taxpayer money like it's her personal piggy bank, and the allegations are piling up. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired as a special investigator, revealed some shocking details in her report on Dolton's finances. Under Tiffany's leadership, Dolton's general fund went from a healthy $61 million in 2022 to a deficit of over $65 million by May 2024. And where did all that money go? Well, that's the million, or should we say multi-million-dollar question.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants her.
Lightfoot's report uncovered some jaw-dropping spending. Village credit cards were used for purchases from retailers like Amazon, Target, and Wayfair. And we're not talking about small-time shopping here. One purchase on Amazon alone was for over $43,000. Yes, you heard that right. $43,000 on Amazon in just one day. Tiffany's explanation? Well, she hasn't really given one. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There were also purchases at high-end hotels, like the Four Seasons in Atlanta, where Tiffany and her team spent over $9,000 on luxury accommodations. Needless to say, the residents of Dolton, many of whom are struggling to make ends meet, are not exactly thrilled about their mayor living it up on their dime. One resident, Andrea McKay, didn't hold back when she spoke to the media. My reaction was, I am devastated. I am devastated that this woman came into our town and spent all of our tax money. We have senior citizens that can't even afford basic necessities, she said. And she's not alone. Former trustee Valeria Stubbs was even more blunt, saying Tiffany needs to be locked up. She needs to be made an example out of. Clearly, Tiffany's spending habits aren't sitting well with the people she's supposed to be serving.
I'm here to appoint my police chief,
But it's not just the money that's causing an uproar. Tiffany's leadership style has also come under fire. She's been accused of using village resources to build up her own personal brand, plastering her face on billboards around town, and treating Dolton's police force like her own private security team. One former police chief even claimed that Tiffany had officers write tickets to her political enemies. Imagine that, using the police to go after the people who don't support you. It's like something out of a bad political thriller. And speaking of police, let's talk about the overtime situation. It turns out that under Tiffany's watch, some police officers were making more in overtime than they did in their base salaries. One officer who earned a salary of $87,000 in fiscal year 2024 raked in an additional $114,800 in overtime pay. Another officer, with a base salary of $73,000, pocketed over $102,000 in overtime. That's more than double their regular pay. It's no wonder the village is in financial trouble when the payroll is ballooning like that.
This lawsuit, on top of all the other lawsuits, is a waste of the taxpayers' money.
Even with all this swirling around her, Tiffany remains defiant. At a recent board meeting, she fired back at her critics, insisting that she's the one in charge. You all forget I'm the leader. They want to hear from the mayor, she said, clearly annoyed by the trustees who have been blocking her spending. But the trustees aren't backing down either. Trustee Jason House has been vocal about his distrust of Tiffany's financial decisions, saying, at the end of the day, vendors aren't being paid. The board approved it, but vendors aren't being paid. It's a mess, to say the least. And let's not forget about the federal investigation. Yes, the FBI is reportedly looking into Tiffany's spending as mayor in her role as supervisor of Thornton Township. Henyard's allies have tried to downplay the investigation. But it's hard to ignore when subpoenas are flying and questions about potential misuse of funds are being raised. Yet Tiffany continues to insist that she's done nothing wrong. In fact, she's doubled down on her claim, saying that everything she does is for the people of Dolton.
Called our security firm, we made sure they had wands, and we also told our board to come upstairs due to the fact they had several ways to exit out of the building.
But the people aren't buying it. One fan commented online, hot air from Tiffany Henyard all the time. I hope her daughter isn't picking up her mother's bad behavior and characteristics. Ouch. It seems like even those who might have once supported Tiffany are starting to see through her act. And if you think the drama ends there, think again. Tiffany's personal life has also made headlines recently because, get this, she's facing eviction. That's right, the mayor of Dolton, who makes nearly $300,000 from her 2 political positions, hasn't been paying her rent. Her landlord, Janetta Hull, has gone public with her frustrations, claiming that Tiffany and her boyfriend Kamal Woods haven't paid rent since August. According to Hull, the couple owes over $5,000 in back rent, and they even changed the locks on the house to keep her out. Hull is now seeking to evict Tiffany and Kamal, but so far the couple has managed to avoid being served with the eviction notice.
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments for months.
Can you imagine? The mayor of a town making hundreds of thousands of dollars, refusing to pay rent and essentially squatting in someone else's home. It's a bizarre twist in an already wild story, and it's left many people shaking their heads. Hull, who once considered Tiffany a friend, said she regrets ever renting to her. As a mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards. You don't see that with these people, they just feel like they can do whatever they want, Hull said. And it's not just Hull who's feeling burned by Tiffany's behavior. Many longtime residents of Dolton are fed up too. They've watched as their town has spiraled into debt with water main breaks, layoffs, and a dwindling police presence. All the while, Tiffany has been gallivanting around the country, staying in luxury hotels and racking up credit card bills. It's no wonder people are calling for her to step down.
Tiffany Henyard making a late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally accommodate the crowds at a typical meeting.
But what might be the most astonishing part of Tiffany's saga is how she continues to maintain a group of loyal supporters despite everything. Some residents still rally behind her, claiming she's the only one who cares about Dolton's future. They argue that her spending, while extravagant, is necessary to attract investment and attention to the town, which has struggled for years. It's a classic case of the ends justify the means, at least for her loyal supporters. One resident even remarked in a public meeting, Tiffany's the only one putting Dolton on the map. Sure, she spends money, but at least we're getting noticed now. This sentiment, though not shared by all, highlights the divide in Dolton over whether Tiffany's leadership is reckless or visionary. But despite all the scandals, Tiffany isn't going anywhere. In fact, she's running for re-election. Yes, you heard that right. Tiffany has announced that she's running for a second term as mayor of Dolton. And in true Tiffany fashion, she's doing it with all the flair and bravado we've come to expect from her. Attention, 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 she wrote on Facebook. I am running for re-election for mayor of Dolton. It's almost as if she's daring her critics to stop her.
Also new tonight, Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is suing some village trustees over Monday's meeting.
Of course, her opponents aren't backing down either. Trustee Jason House, who has been one of Tiffany's most vocal critics, is also running for mayor. He's part of a slate of candidates called Clean House, and they're hoping to restore some order to the chaos that Tiffany has created. We look forward to Election Day and hope the residents will vote for us to continue doing the work we have been doing, House said. The election is shaping up to be a battle for the future of Dolton. Will the residents stick with Tiffany, the so-called super mayor who's been embroiled in scandal after scandal? Or will they choose a new direction with House and his team? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, Tiffany isn't going down without a fight.
Mayor took steps to correct those things that the Attorney General required. And so we believe that for that reason, the meeting was supposed to have been here.
As we wrap up, it's hard not to wonder, how did things get this bad in Dolton? How did a small town end up with a mayor who's living like a reality TV star, while the town itself sinks deeper into debt? And more importantly, will the residents finally put an end to Tiffany's reign? Or will she manage to hold onto power for another term? Before you go, let us know what you think in the comments. Is Tiffany Henyard a misunderstood leader, or is she the worst mayor in America? And do you think she'll manage to win re-election? Or will Dolton voters finally say enough is enough? We can't wait to hear your thoughts.